Welcome back to the next installment of Find This Photo. So I actually have a confession to make. This is the second time I've recorded this video. The first time I didn't realize until after the video was shot that you, the audience, could not see my screen when I switched to Google Earth. So I found the photo and yeah, but the video doesn't look great. So I don't know. I thought about trying to reshoot the video with the audio that was there, but I thought that would probably just not turn out okay. So I'm just going to show you what I did, but I do have one photo to find in here, and that is, well, let's back up. So here we are in New Zealand, and I knew it was New Zealand before because it's from some mission photographs, and this was more likely purchased by a missionary in New Zealand rather than taken by a missionary in New Zealand. And one of the other items in the collection is this photograph, which I haven't identified. It just says gazebo and electrical pole. But I have a theory that it is this gazebo right here. But I'm going to try to confirm that theory. So we do have something that I don't know going into this video. But let me just explain first about the photo. So you can see it's a doubled image. This is called a stereoscopic image. And the idea with these is that they would put them up in these glasses, and so you could look at it, and it was a little bit like early virtual reality kind of thing for photos. Apparently they still take, because those are more modern images, that you can still do stereoscopic viewing that way. But so that's why there's two. Same with this one. And again, these were probably purchased. I don't think any missionaries would have had a stereoscopic camera. What you need, basically a double camera that exposes two lenses worth of light onto one photograph. And then those lenses are kept about the same distance as the human eye so that when you look at it, it looks slightly different. And you can see in this one, you can see where that pole is right here in comparison to the top of the gazebo. And you can see here that it's a little bit closer. So that would give you the effect of like three-dimensional viewing. Anyway, so in looking at this, I knew it was an unidentified town somewhere in New Zealand, and it's a pretty big town, so that kind of narrows it down to some of the larger towns in New Zealand. I mean, I was already thinking Auckland. That is in fact where it is, but it could have been Christchurch. It could have been some of the other bigger cities in New Zealand. You do have what looks like a trolley system going down the middle. So there's some text here, Smith and Coffee, and what I thought was Nude Hopes, but it's actually Tude Hopes. And when you do a search for Tude Hopes, which is an uncommon name for sure, well, you can see here's New South Wales, so it is not that uncommon in Australia and New Zealand. But if you add plumbing to the search, you find this guy who lived in the early days, and if we look at his life, we'll see that he's from Auckland, and that his plumbing thing was in Auckland. So I'm pretty sure that this Robert Tudhope that's his building there. Smith and Coffee was easier, just doing a Google search for Smith and Coffee. They're still in business, a New Zealand department store, and they are on Queen Street in New Zealand. So knowing that, discovering that they were on Queen Street, which is not a guarantee that they're still there, right? Turns out they are still there, but I went to Google Earth, typed in Queen Street, Auckland, New Zealand, search, and then we get magically transported there. One of the reasons I wanted to use Google Earth for this particular one is because of the 3D building views, which are a little bit better than you can kind of get those a little bit on Google Maps, I think, but this is much better. So Queen Street is right in here. And almost immediately I found this nice little tower here that you can see corresponds pretty well to the building in our photo. Right there. And so well, in fact, that it is the same building. And behind it is a gazebo, and that also checks out in Google Earth, where you've got this gazebo behind it. And then looking up, you know, all of these tall buildings wouldn't have been around, and they didn't have helicopters back then to take that photo, or drones. So I'm thinking that it was taken from the top, either the roof or some high windows of this St. Matthew's in the city church. If you kind of like try to look at line of sight there, you know, the trees are much taller, but if these buildings weren't in the way, that's the view that you would see, is the view from this. So that's all checks out, and that was another photo done, but just with poor video representation of what I was doing. So anyway, let's since we're in Google Earth already, why don't we take a look at this gazebo and see if we can see. I think if I turn on photos, or maybe we just try to drop a guy down there. There's a photo there. Okay, so we do have electrical poles around. They don't look the same, but that's maybe not surprising. Why can I not see the gazebo? I would have thought it would have been in the inside curve. Let's exit here, and let's try this one. Okay, yeah, that's better. And that's pretty good just from right there. Let's take a look at the other photo and see. So this is a little bit fuzzy, blurry. This one's a little bit better, but not by much. So we've got what looks like kind of a stripy top, and then these circles which may have clocks. I don't know. And then that's slightly better for the top. It's kind of like a looks like a hot air balloon on top of the gazebo, and that doesn't look the same. Not even at all. Okay, so it's not the same one. I wonder if there's any other gazebos around. What? Well, one possibility is that the gazebo was replaced, but I don't know. That doesn't seem likely. Let's see here. I'm guessing it's also in Auckland. So if there's another park with a gazebo in it. Okay, well, why don't we try something else? So let's assume one of the great things about New Zealand actually is they have a fantastic photo collection. So the National Trust of New Zealand has a really great photo collection. And what's the name of that park again? Albert Park. Gazebo. And let's just do National Trust because I want to see old photos of it. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's not called the National Trust, it's something else. Okay, well, let's just do old photo. So that's an old photo, and it's definitely the same gazebo. So, okay, so I'm going to say that it is not Albert Park's gazebo. And we could go back to Google Earth here and figure out maybe where it is. Or we can try Google it again. Why don't we take out Albert Park and just do a search for gazebo, New Zealand gazebo. No. Well, let's give it a full try here. We'll check Google Images. But my old photo is not really doing a lot of work in this. Okay, I'm going to try this. New Zealand photo collection. Go to all. Okay, National Library, New Zealand Photographic Archive. This is probably what I was talking about. So let's just do a search in here for gazebo. Wow, okay. No good there too. So maybe we should check another city. I'm just thinking that, you know, Auckland was big even in at the time, but I don't know if it was so big that they had 2 parks with gazebos. It seems possible that let's maybe try Wellington. There is another gazebo. And I've got a good feeling about that one from what I can see. Let's see if we can get a guy to look at it. No. Okay, that's looking another direction. How about this one? Oh, nope, it's not the right one. It actually looks quite a bit like the other gazebo. That's probably not free. Well, I should probably set some kind of time limit for this, and I think I've reached it. I don't know about normally. It's also possible that somebody will watch this video and say, oh, I'm from Auckland, I know that gazebo, and then maybe we can find it that way. But I think in the meantime, I'm just going to say that we had one success and one, I don't want to say failure, but I guess it's a failure, right? But anyway, that's all right. I assumed that I would have some failures along the way, some pictures, and I've gone through and scouted out some pictures, and some I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to find that. And it might be that I do release a video more like this one, where I wait until I find it and then tell you how I found it, rather than watching, you know, I'm going to speed this up, but what I'm looking at about 25 minutes of content, and even sped up is going to be boring at some parts. So anyway, but thanks for watching this far, and we'll see you next week.